Morning everybody, how you doing today? Crusty Old Crow back again to do another tactical perspective video. Today we're doing O Group news on Joe, because there's finally some more news to be had out there on Joe, and I'm going to talk about it. I'm just going to grab my coffee for a second really quickly here, and I'm going to settle into my old chair like the crow often does in his nest, pull out my old trusty tablet of information, and give a quick holler to you. All right, so today on the TAC Perspective O Group Joe News, we're gonna talk about what has been leaked or been talked about from Hasbro, as per what I watched on my favorite news channel on Anything Joe News, Viper Island. And guys, if you haven't seen their release today, stop the video right now. Go find Viper Island's release for their weekly update for November 18th of this year, and have a quick gander. Those guys, they're the news. I'm just the dad sitting at the supper table talking about it. They are the direct source of where I get a lot of my information. Yeah, some other guys I watch every now and then and get their perspectives, but Viper Island I find extremely reliable. Good old couple of Canadian boys, a father and son duo, who I've really enjoyed watching their stuff. And they came out with some stuff today that was just, whew, I chewed on it, and I had a good time chewing on it, and I thought about it, and I was like, yep, I agree with it. And it really parallels some stuff I've been talking about, as it often does when you're dealing with different perspectives, right? So what are we going to go over today? We're going to go over the stuff that Viper Island talked about. They've got a new figure announcement for 2024 that they've gone over, and I'll go into what my opinions are on that. They've also led us to believe, as Viper Island often does with utmost accuracy, some theories on who else is coming down the line for 2024 that we should be probably getting excited about. And then some just some commentary on boxes and whatnot, and the packaging that Hasbro has talked about. Viper Island discussed it, and I have some opinions on that as well. And then any other news that they went over. I'm just going to give my opinions on what I thought was relevant and where it pertains to stuff I've been talking about. Okay, and that's what we're going to be talking about on this video. And then I've got 2 more videos planned for the day. I got another one I'm going to do for TAC Perspective, talking about the original 82 line and the road ahead, how to read the terrain with what we have versus what's outstanding, and what might be coming down the line, and some just discussion about that. And the video after that, I think, is going to be a spec fire, because there's a fight I'm itching to do with some of these new figures I've got. Anyways, let's get to the new Joe news really quick here. And before we do, I just wanted to do a quick explanation. Like I did on the last video about Buzzer, I explained where the name Crusty Old Crow came from. In a much faster method, I'm gonna explain to you guys why my videos are so all over the place. All right, I have constantly talked about having ADHD and struggling with that, and it was severe, and it is severe, guys. It's not just your standard run-of-the-mill ADHD. It's a hyper issue about it, in that it's very distracting. And currently, being a retired veteran, I am going through the traditional veteran issues of having some problems getting my prescriptions the way that I should be. And this isn't a slam against the support methods that are out there for us veterans. Everything in this new age is online and by phone and things like that. And those processes have a lot of flaws, right? But you know, the services themselves are a benefit to me, and I'm by no means downplaying Veterans Affairs of Canada or any other service that has supported me over the years. It's just that I've gone several months without my prescription for my ADHD. So what you're seeing in these videos is just raw, guys. That's why it's also a one take, right? I am actually showing you my journey on learning to be a YouTube content creator type guy that doesn't give a fuck, by the way, not to the degree of others, and a guy who can really have fun with this product that Hasbro has given us in the G.I. Joe Classified line, and his perspectives and memories on that. Okay, so that's my ADHD stuff. Anyways, the news that we got we're going to go to the tablet, and I'm going to just pull up the stuff as we go and talk a little bit about it. The first thing that really scared me that they talked about is they identified the name of the tank, on which I struggled the other day when I was doing my review of Hawk, the Triple T tank. And this was a real concern with me in what I was seeing, because I was like, well, maybe they're going to put this as a release to try and promote the Maulers, which maybe barbecue isn't enough to promote. Sorry, not the Maulers, Sergeant Slaughter's Marauders, right? I thought this might be a nod as to a vehicle that's coming. And the guys at Viper Island today filled us in just a little bit on what that actually is, and it's much scarier, and it goes along with the whole box art discussion that also happens today. That's a nod to the Transformers crossover. This whole thing is, and it kind of it blows a couple of theories I have out of proportion, or out of the water, or it doesn't, and I'm hoping it doesn't. So this Triple T tank is apparently going to make its way over to the O-Ring line. O-Ring is a smaller 3 3/4 apparently line that deals with the Transformers and Joe crossovers that are coming up with the Dark Energon story. And we've seen some of this stuff marketed in the past couple of years anyways. In some form or another. I think it was still O-Ring. I'm not sure. I don't follow that line. Nor do I follow Hyatt Toys, which I'm thinking I'm going to. Who also do 3 3/4. But in there, they talked in on Viper Island today. Liam mentioned that this is actually something that's planned for the O-Ring crossover line. And this will transform into its own Sergeant-type character for Transformers. Okay, so what else does this do to my theory on this box? Well, one, I don't feel safe in the G.I. Joe box art portrayal, like the diorama story that they're doing. And I'll get into their diorama stories that Viper Island was talking about, and theirs, it was pertinent. It tells me that there's a method of deception with Easter eggs to promote another line, and I didn't think that would be. I'm hoping that Hasbro is only doing this because there is a classified Triple T tank in the plan somewhere, and not because they're going to start throwing us all of these hints for the Dark Energon crisis that the O-Ring line is going to be selling toys for, and Hasbro will somehow get residuals or something like that off that. I really hope that's not going on, because my other theory was about this, and it was my favorite new theory. I had been hearing a lot of discussion about, or not discussion, I'd seen images of wild weasels starting to show up around some classified videos that I wasn't watching. I was skimming through, and I know Viper Island, I think, talked at some point about Hasbro or the fans wanted a wild weasel, and there'd been discussion, maybe there was one in the works. And the conversation around the Rattler always goes back to, would it be a HasLab product? Which it probably would. It'd probably be glorious. It would probably be too high of a price point for a retail shelf like what they're doing with the Vamp. So I theorized the other day on the Buzzer video, I retracted my idea that this might be Flash in the jump pack. And I'm going to support this with some stuff on my tablet here. I theorized that that's actually Wild Weasel and a Cobra Claw that's going to be coming to the shelves. Much in the same vein that the Televiper and the Flight Pod were a thing. I think this is going to end up being Wild Weasel coming with a Cobra Claw until a Rattler comes out. And perhaps it's a subtle nod to the fact that CoverGirl and Muskrat don't have simple solutions for their types of vehicles, but a Flyer might in the Cobra arsenal. And I'm just to remind you guys, first off, I don't own any of my images. I pull everything up off Google. Google prevents us from going to libraries anymore. We don't need to. Google's my doctor. But anyways, that's the Cobra Claw there. If you couldn't remember what it was, but that's what it is, right? So if we go there, and I just set this down for a second, and I'm just going to draw your eyes to, perhaps this is another design on the Cobra Claw. You definitely got that wingspan happening here. You've got some underslung missiles. You have some other fin stabilizer in the center. And on the original Cobra design, it did have two on the top. What we can't see is any forward wing and rear wing, right? We only see one fixed or maybe retracting whatever wing. Maybe it's a folding wing. We don't know, but we do see some missiles under there, and we do know that he's coming right out of that explosion behind there. So he's probably caused that. So I'm led to believe this is Cobra, but my fear now has to be, if this is a nod to the O-Ring and Transformers line, is this a Transformer that is swept in? And does he transform into something? Or is this a Transformers human support character from the movies in a fancy jumpsuit now appearing in our precious G.I. Joe classified boxes? Don't crush the box. Don't do it. Anyways, so I thought that was interesting that they talked about it today. And yeah. That was something that I was glad they identified why that triple T is there in their eyes or in Hasbro's eyes. And if they had heard something about that, I'm glad they talked about that today. Thank you, Liam and Dex over at Viper Island. God, I love you guys. So I'm big on credit where credit is due, guys. A lot of my perspectives and a lot of my theories are original. A lot come from military background. And then a lot are borrowed from other channels. And I never want to be the guy that ever just says, oh, I did that and I stole it from a guy and never give it credit. That would be terrible, right? What else did we want to go over on that? So we got the new Fig announcement. Okay, Viper Island has confirmed through Hasbro for 2024, we are going to get Naugahyde. Yeah, the Dreadnought Naugahyde. Let's go to my glorious library. If you can't draw an image off of him, any image off the internet will do. Naugahyde's coming, and this is exciting to me because you figure after my review on Buzzer, I wouldn't be so quickly excited by the next Dreadnought thing, especially with the not actually having a Ripper and a Torch yet to make sure that the quality control issues I had with Buzzer were fixed. But I can't help it. What they talked about on Viper Island with Naugahyde is what we can expect possibly with that based on what their feedback is. And it's going to be the traditional Naugahyde. You probably get a little bit more modernized sculpt for him, and he's probably going to be a really good sculpt. I can see the same guy that did Major Blood and a lot of the really good visually facial characteristic characters like Mindbender in them. I could see Naugahyde being an easy one to do with just a lot of focus on that facial sculpt and the accessories. I can see that vest coming off like Gung Ho. I can see those jeans being the reprint of the lower body basically of Buzzer. I could easily see that. If you look at Buzzer again side by side, I could definitely see maybe it's a repaint of that. Maybe they don't do the knee pads though. I don't know. Maybe they will. Who knows? But you'll get the boar, and you're going to get the hat with the teeth and all that good stuff. Naugahyde going to fill out. The reason I was excited for Naugahyde, I mean, you got to look at the lore of the Dreadnoughts, right? And let's just summarize them by saying they're a biker gang. Biker gang. Okay, biker gang attached to a Cobra terrorist network. Workable. Perfect, great premise. We loved it as kids. I'm still solid with it today, especially growing up with things like Mad Max, post-apocalyptic movies. I see a place for Dreadnoughts in the lore, and it's precious. However, with that comes this whole thing, this whole stigma that bikers are bad. Biker gangs are bad. And guys, I don't buy into that. I know a lot of guys that are a part of a lot of motorcycle clubs, and it's just a stigma. And, you know, like, yeah, are there bad bike gangs that do terrible things? Sure. There's bad lawyers that do terrible things. There's bad country clubs that do terrible things. There's bad everything that does terrible things. It's whatever the media wants you to focus on, right? But biker gangs, they've always had that stigma attached to them. And the Dreadnoughts certainly don't help it. So here we have a poacher joining them. And that's something I can get behind. I'm sorry, guys. A poacher could be a most relatable guy in the world. But in the end, he's a poacher. He's a scumbag hunting down animals for all the wrong reasons, defying conservation laws for species, doing everything, right? And being a real scumbag about it. So give me Naugahyde and give me more blast effects for my Joes, because I love that idea. Watch how many spec fire battles I do with a Naga hide. It's just to give him the punishment factor over and over again. But that's enough on Naga hide. So that was announced for 2024. Viper Island brought us that news. What else did we get for news? Well, we got some of their theories based on some images that they were able to confirm. One of their theories is muskrat. Oh yes, boys and girls, muskrat could be coming to the Joe line in 2024. And I say could be because it hasn't been announced. This is just Liam's theory, right? And I agree with it. He caught images of a bush cap that Hasbro had let out, I guess. And it's theorized that that bush cap being the green piece that it is. And I'm not self-promoting here, guys. I'm just for anyone with no military experience and don't know what a bush cap would look like in this sense. Where's my Bobcat guy? Bobcat's hat. That's what I called my other gung-ho now. Bobcat. There you go. That's a bush cap, basically. It's just a hat that sits on. It's for field craft and jungle craft, and in muskrat's case, swamp craft, like that, right? So they saw that. They theorized it's muskrat. That's pretty cool. You know, I'm big on the guys with the olive drab and the right kit loadout. But what's it mean? Guys, it seems like we've got a trend going. It means CoverGirl's shotgun's going to make yet another appearance. But we're going to get a boogie board probably, which I was never really on board with the boogie board. Like, I get that's a unique piece of kit for that character, and we'll put a story behind it. And that Louisiana swamp boy, you guys probably be boogie boarding everywhere now, yeah. But I just don't buy that there's a tactical advantage to be served by boogie boarding into any situation. In fact, I see a lot of disciplinary measures. Danny Joe that shows up with his boogie board and starts doing that. It's like probably the most apocalypse now cliche out there that you could have captured in this line. And really, if you were going to do it, why not do it with rock and roll? Just give him a surfboard. You've already made him a surfer. But just generally, a muskrat, even with the boogie board, well, that excites the old crow. Okay, so what else did they talk about today? Really, that was really it for the two figure announcements that they were theorizing. But they were giving you more evidence for a couple other Cobra Troop builds that are coming out. So we all saw the Vamp. I'm just going to go back to the box, the forward box of the Vamp really quick. Nothing I do is really quick though, is it, guys? Anyways, where did it go? That's my Steve Austin Bionic Man sound. There it is. Okay, when we talked about the Vamp before, wow, what a horrible picture. I didn't realize. In the background, we knew the Cobra Ferret was there. And with the Ferret comes a rider. For those of you who might not have seen, right in this background, you'll find cleaner images out there, guys. I apologize for that one. Crusty old crow and his ADHD. But what we got was basically some hints as to a piece of kit for that Ferret Scout driver in his helmet, there, or her helmet, whichever it is. Which goes with the other part of the box story art again, and Hasbro's press release art that they do for these. So in this picture of Clutch digging stuff up with his entrenching tool, his collapsible shovel there, that's the Scout Viper helmet. Okay, and you can see the teeth in the visor design and in the lower mask design part there. Let me just quickly wipe that screen of fingerprints a bit better. Oh my gosh. Guys, I apologize for the quality of my videos. But maybe that's why you're laughing. It's like, man, look at this guy. He can't get his shit together to save his life. Anyways, it's more or less like that. So we've got the ridge line, like the scales, the head piece, which forms the teeth at the front, at the top part of the helmet with the sun visor piece, and then the breather mask, like the dust mask piece, has some fangs incorporated into that. So he's digging that out, and that's the matches the silhouette that we've seen on the box art of the Vamp. What else hinted at? Okay, words hard crow. Oh, We actually got the a cameo of the Stinger driver in this one as well, apparently, according to the guys on Viper Island and their theories and what they said Hasbro has been saying about this stuff. When you see him pinned down and they're trying to show you the features of his steel core mask, the guy in the background isn't the bike rider, apparently. They think it might be the Stinger driver, and he's why the vamp got flipped over. Is he had a successful strike from his missiles on his striker, or whatever that was, the Stinger. You know, there you go. So that was interesting. And that's, again, more talk about the diorama art. So what did they say about the box art and the stories? Well, Hasbro, I guess, explained, and Viper Island made it a part of their thing today to explain how, yeah, there is an ongoing story in everything with the box art and then the images of HasLab products and upcoming release figures like Mutton Junkyard, Scrap Iron, the Vamp. All those have a story going for it too, and it all ties in. So when it's in the Desertscape, it's all part of that ongoing battle. And if you read into them, you can see things that are coming up in the background, and then they get confirmed, and they're slow. So it's Hasbro's made it a lot of fun to go look at their release photos and just start thinking, what does it all mean, right? So they talked about that. Hasbro just verified, yeah, the Easter eggs are out there, and it's all part of a big broad story. And that's why you look at pictures of the Hiss tank, and you know, they've got the Hiss crew celebrating shooting down a dragonfly. I mean, what's the story there, right? Now you see Clutch and the Vamp coming out, but at some point the Clutch and the Vamp get taken out and they're in trouble. And who's behind it? Well, it's the Ferret, it's the Scouts, it's the Stinger. Oh my goodness, yes, they're telling a story. So they also speculated that we could possibly see that in future figure box art, which is one part of that. So, you know, and there's the Stinger, guys. If you aren't remembering it very well, that's what we got when we were kids, right? So that's what they're pitting the Clutch up against, clearly, and you could all understand why. But they're saying you could see this thematic story going on in future releases, and they dropped this one. The 60th anniversary Desert Trooper. The packaging and the promotional art might start incorporating him into it. You could expect that might also parallel with the Navy guy. And remember my Cobra, my previous videos, I was talking about McFarlane toys. So this is what I was saying. This is what you're expecting basically with this guy, almost exactly. So quick shout out to McFarlane Toys for, you know, this is nowhere near articulate, but they had it right too. They do a very good military line of figures. So they said the box art for those could have it, and then Airborne, his box possibly, we don't know. But they've also talked about going to that open package design, as we're seeing with the Mutt and the Scrap Iron figures. When they come out, they're going to be an open box package, and you can see that the right like that. And so I don't know. I can't see the stories going as well if they do this with the regular packaging and they just go to the open concept, because one of the things I really like is the story box art. And I just pulled up a couple of examples. Like, you know, having watched Viper Island, they make you look at everything again, right? And having ADHD, I have to look at it from as many perspectives as I can to say, now I feel like I know this, right? I had to look at I grabbed some random boxes, and one of them was low light, and I had another look, and I was like, you did not look closely enough, Ryan. All this time when low light was pinned down, ready to ambush whoever, and he'd been working on stuff, and I had known about these data chips and this laptop that should have been there. I'd said that, you know, a while ago. I said, I bet you Mainframe's going to show up, and he's going to be in the same situation with low light. And the situation I didn't read into all that time. I was just like, yeah, they're Cobra Troopers. No, those are Cobra Python Patrol, the black, and the only Cobra Python Patrol one that I really like is the black with the light green web belts. And that's who those are. And I was like, I didn't even notice that. I'm pretty sure that's who those are, if my old eyes don't fail me, right? And but the storytelling on the box art, could you imagine how lackluster? I mean, like, yeah, it's still a great figure, great thing. You're getting great things, and when you see all the components in a clear plastic box, you're like, those are great. But when you see it all laid out like this, you get the feel of just how cool this thing actually is. And you without it, you're going to miss out on seeing Sky Strikers in the background and feeling like there's a hope, maybe HasLab is going to do one for classified way down the road when they know, you know, you sold your cryptocurrencies or whatever you did to get rich. But the storytelling of using a school bus as a decoy method along the shoreline at a controlled naval dock where the flag is shipped or parked, right? Like, that's the story on the box, and we're going to lose that. And so Viper Island talked a little bit about Hasbro's discussion on the story box art and things like that, and I thought that was very interesting. So, where have I left off? I think, yeah, that was pretty much about it out of Viper Island today on what they had going with their news drops. And thanks again to them for being so inspiring with giving me so much to chew on. But guys, that's it for the O group right now. So you can put your pens away, stop writing stuff down. The next video I'm going to make is going to be a little bit later on today, and it's going to be a video about the 82 release and what we have now versus what we can expect, and my theories, all my theories and speculation and stuff like that. If you like this video, you know the deal. You hit the like. If you really liked it, you hit subscribe, and welcome aboard. Maybe you could be my 100th subscriber, my 1 milestone. That'd be great. If not, oh well, we'll just keep making videos. I'm going to keep doing it regardless of who's watching. And feel free to join in the comments if there's stuff you want to talk about maybe Naga hide or the possibility of a muskrat figure, or how you feel about maybe losing some of this box art and maybe a bit of the storytelling. Or are you okay with losing box art and these diorama photos and all this other stuff that Hasbro does to promote these? Just it's not for you, right? Possibly. And make sure you're checking out Viper Island regularly to get in front of the news, and make sure you're watching before you watch my thoughts on them. I don't want to take anything away from the impact of how well they do their channel. All right, you guys? We'll talk to you again soon. Bye.